who might get into a winning position first, given how many times this match has flipped, both psychologically and over the board in the last half an hour. This has been absolutely amazing to watch. And we've got potentially another 13 minutes of it left. Wei Yi now playing with just under 8 minutes on the clock. Hikaru Nakamura just under 6. So that time advantage has been reduced to 2 minutes.
And once again, we get to the first imbalance of the game. This time, it's Wei Yi with the bishop pair. Last time, it was Hikaru Nakamura who made it work perfectly for himself, until the crazy time scramble happened.
Right.
But Wei Yi, can he again do the maneuvering game? Can he find a way to get those beautiful diagonals going?
He needs to get active with his other pieces too. The white queen not really participating right now. It was a really reluctant trade. He burnt most of his time advantage, Wei Yi, trading off that beautiful knight on f5 for a bishop. So although he got the bishop pair, he did have to part with his best piece, at least the most attacking piece. And here Hikaru, you can see how forceful he's playing. He knows because of the clock situation, he needs to clarify the board. He needs to get to an endgame, go for trades. He's now attacking white's bishop.
He's speeding up very, very quickly. He had that 3-minute advantage. That 3-minute advantage was a 2-minute advantage, and now it's 1.5 minutes. We could see parity on the clock by the time the players hit 5 minutes at this rate, and that would be mini disaster for Wei Yi, who started with 10 minutes, remember, playing with the white pieces. It's also a must-win situation for him.
That is bad news, and we see the trades come on and the bishop does fall back, where he always has to watch out for that d pawn moving forward as well. If Hikaru is looking for more clarification on the board, the black knight can jump onto some juicy outposts on the light squares. Knight c5, it happens. The knight's not going to stop there.
Knight has its eyes on maybe the b3 square, where you used that previously. This time it might be Hikaru's turn. Also d3 if he wants some trades to simplify things even further. Looks great for Hikaru right now. It's got to be said, Wei Yi, still with 1 extra minute, needs to speed up, needs to keep as much tension, as many pieces on the board as possible, but not easy. The black light squared bishop also suddenly on an open diagonal could come out to g4 and pin the white knight. Wei Yi, it's not been a great few moves. This last half dozen is gone in Hikaru's favor.
Yeah, we need a plan and quick, right? We've got the 2 bishops. They're looking pretty benign right now. They have decent diagonals, but the other pieces aren't really backing them up. The rooks are nowhere to be seen. The queen is still on her home square. So we need a little bit of a follow-up to this plan to figure out how it's all going to come together for Wei Yi. There is still time to make that happen, but with the time advantage now disappearing almost, under a minute, about 40 seconds, we're struggling to see where the advantage could come from in a game where his opponent has draw odds.
Yeah, I do fear for Wei Yi here. Hikaru's last move is a real clamp down of white's chances. There's a pawn attacked on c3. That one is loose, but more importantly, the white light squared bishop has been blunted. You don't want to trade off, but how can you hold things together? Wei Yi struggling to find the way forward.
And it's been awesome to watch Hikaru on the camera. Just the shift in his body language, right? It looked like he was so disturbed about everything that had happened in game 2. Couldn't stop shaking his head. The frustration on the face. 2 minutes go down. The moves come on the board. He completely forgets about it. He's locked in. He's in the zone right now, playing incredible chess. Now he moves in with that knight. Well, 2 pawns hanging. He says you can't take either of them. The c3, you can't pick up. The queen will line up with the bishop, threaten the check. Knight on c6 hanging as well. E5 pawn would also lead to certain forks on the board, tactics everywhere. And there's one guy who usually excels when that's the case.
Exactly right. I mean, you don't want to be leaving tactics on the board when you are playing against these absolute giants of the game. A small shake of the head there from Wei Yi, recognizing that the thread of the game maybe has gone away from him a little bit. But if I'm being honest, that's happened to him before already in this match, and he has found a way back from that before in this match.
Yeah, way to go from Wei Yi. His heart rate has been around the 140 mark for the last hour. That is high intensity chess. We see a trade of knights. Bit of a dilemma how to retake this knight. You can take it with the bishop, pawn, queen. Either way, there's another pawn hanging. The black queen can capture on h4 on the next move. Hikaru, just as he was in the previous game, could go a pawn up.
Black, he's fighting back. Hikaru is in this position to get that advantage. H4 pawn could be picked up on the next move. But they say when there's a will, there's a way. And how will he keep this game going? But that's not going to be enough because you have to get the win in. Now you've got this bishop pair. For Wei, even if he loses the pawns, it's going to be about finding those active diagonals for his pieces. Is there hope for that?
There There is hope, but he has to move. He's about to go below on the clock for the first time in this game.
Wow.
Seismic moment, momentum shift as well, where he's just not got things going. Feels like he's trying too hard to conjure up something. It's not there yet. You need to save your time. Put it in the bank for later.
I did not think this would happen coming into the game. I thought maybe we would see something very, very decisive on the board prior to getting to a position where Hikaru Nakamura has time in the bank now compared to Wei Yi. Remember, he started with 6 minutes and 49 seconds on the clock, and at the moment is giving us a masterclass. Vintage Hikaru using a fraction of the time of his opponent, but getting into an excellent position on the board.
Hikaru just has result odds now. You know, with the clocks leveling out, not even leveling out, up on the clock, Hikaru Nakamura needs only a draw. You know, he's up a pawn. It's not easy for Wei Yi to capture that knight on e4 to win it back. That would allow immense activity to Hikaru's light squared bishop. So Wei Yi, trying to get some complications in, rushes in with his rook, blocked that attack is right now, and you want to avoid as many trades as possible if you're Wei Yi.
Now the result odds look super important right now. He moves his bishop out. Hikaru is happy to trade rooks, happy to go into opposite color bishop endgames where he knows the draw is up his sleeve. Yes, he's 35 seconds up on the clock as well. But for now, Wei Yi, he just needs to trust his instincts. He needs to move fast. He defended so well in the previous game. Just keep the tension. Stay at least in touching distance on the clock. Swing the other rook across or trade rooks, retreat your rook, whatever. Either way, he just needs to move.
Hikaru Nakamura knocking on the door of Wei Yi now, saying, look, I understand you've got amazing composure. Nothing seems to be phasing you, but I'm faster. I'm going to win this. What are you going to do to stop me? And he's asking some real serious questions now of the Weibo Gaming player. That said, Wei Yi has found ways back before, but with draw odds, I'm not sure that's enough here.
Now, big moment. There is a bit of a threat of the white queen taking the d5 pawn as the black rook is pinned on the back rank. So dealing with that is the first order of business for Hikaru Nakamura. He needs to identify that threat. He actually retreats with his rook, allowing a trade. There might be some simplifications, but only offering safety. I don't think Wei Yi necessarily wants to trade rooks, wants to grab this pawn. The black knight would actually be taking things, and we would see things fizzle towards a draw. Hikaru definitely using the fact that he has those result odds now.
And Wei Yi doesn't have an option, even if objectively that was the best decision which would safely guide the game towards a draw. He needs to keep it going, even if it means that he's worse. And now once again left with the decision, with the black rook pinned, does he grab that central pawn on d5? Queen takes pawn, still in the air. It would allow the black knight to jump to c3. Wei Yi's going to repeat it once. He might even repeat it twice, but in no reality will he do it the third time.
There we go. He dodges the draw, dodges the repetition out of necessity. Wei Yi. We saw Hikaru on his screen with some pre-moves earlier, feeling very confident there. The problem is, black is holding the fort. The white queen is stuck in two minds. It's useful as a defensive piece, therefore it cannot really move, cannot help capture any pawns. Wei Yi lacking a plan, and that is the hardest situation to be in under a time pressure like this, time crunch.
And it just keeps increasing, right? Almost now a minute deficit there. He does try to activate the bishop from another diagonal, finding a new route to try to get to the c6 square from where it can attack that central d5 pawn. If Wei is able to get to that pawn, then it's game on. Then he's talking. Then he's looking for those winning chances because it will leave Hikaru with a big weakness on c4.
Okay, big moment. Hikaru, 30 seconds extra. If he can blitz through the next 5-6 moves and not drop the pawn back, not allow any counterplay, Hikaru's just going to take this. He's getting closer, but the panic, that face again appearing. Hikaru not enjoying the time pressure here that he's under. He swings his queen across, prevents that bishop moving.
This is exactly what happened in that second game, right? Hikaru close to winning, close to just wrapping things up, and then you could see it. He just froze in that moment, just burning the clock, and in time scramble, crazy things happen. Queen b7 played, stopping the idea. Wei needs to find a way to activate that dark square bishop.
You start seeing ghosts, you start evaluating threats that aren't as credible as they would be if you looked at them with objective eyes. It's not that anything's a lie, it's that everything looks threatening and you feel like you have to calculate everything. E6, huge throw of the dice here from Wei Yi.
do not take this pawn. Hikaru cannot capture this pawn as the white rook would step up to the 7th rank and skewer the black queen. There would be checkmating ideas, the kiss of death idea on g7. The white queen is coming. Hikaru panicking again.
He missed it. He didn't see this. This tactical resource. And wait, he's expressionless. There's nothing that you can read on him. Hikaru calms himself down, brings the queen back to the defense. Pawn takes pawn would have been a big blunder. But now, Wei gets his opportunity. There are open lines on the board.
That looks like a huge step in the right direction. Suddenly the black king doesn't have as much protection around it. The white pawn was in the way anyway, so that trade really beneficial. But Wei shaking his head. At least he's getting his bishop into the action. This one is anyone's game. The board state is so delicately poised.
Wei unhappy with that decision that he just made, because now it feels he can't avoid a rook trade, and more pieces off the board, the better it is for Hikaru Nakamura. Rook a8, almost forced there by Wei, and this is the first time I've seen him unhappy with his decision.
He leans back Wei. He looks really dejected somehow. Maybe fearing this move. There we go. Hikaru forcing the queens off the board. That black queen is hitting not just the white queen, but both of white's bishops. If the queens disappear, winning chances might fade as well. And it's more about the clock. 2 minutes versus 1 minute. This is danger zone. Hikaru so fast now.
Wei so resourceful. He had the opportunities to maybe mix things up a bit, but as more pieces get traded off the board, there's very little for him to work with right now. And with the queens off as well, where's the win?
It doesn't exist. Hikaru needs only a draw. Wei is under 1 minute on the clock. The queens are off the board. Hikaru Nakamura has an extra pawn. That pawn has been picked up, but the c3 pawn hanging as well.
He's just been overthinking it. Wei's been too much in his own head. The shake of the head there. He needed to just blitz it and hope. Yes, it's a bad position. Yes, it looks forlorn now with those two black pawns marching. But it is more about the clock. That gives Hikaru confidence. He's trading off from a position of strength. He knows he only needs a draw. Given a question mark, but let's ignore that one. As the white rook slides across, we'll see some trades. The black knight's going to step out the way. The pawns will advance.
Nothing stopping them. The white bishop steps forward, attacks the rook way down to 25 seconds. Hikaru with the hand movement says he's seen it all. Rook d5. Hikaru knows he's so close to getting to the quarterfinals.
Wei looks like he's got his hand over the resign button. 20 seconds. Hikaru Nakamura goes through.
Speed, resilience, and grit. What a gripping match there. Hikaru Nakamura books his place alongside his Team Falcons teammate in the quarterfinals of chess at the Esports World Cup. But my goodness, was there drama along the way. That was an extremely hard-fought victory. Fantastic character shown from both players, but in the end, Nakamura emerges victorious.
Wow, so up and down, so fitting that it had to end in Armageddon. The only way to separate these two fantastic players. Wei played out of his skin, but ultimately not enough.
What a fight this was. What a match this was. An absolute blockbuster. I mean, are you not entertained here at the Esports World Cup, seeing these two beasts take it down to the wire, and Hikaru finally showing why he is such a big boss here in this endgame, in this Armageddon.